First things first, this is not a Tang time. It's only water. How boring is that? We are starting on our national ID. We're here back in Oton getting our national ID. Stage 1. I think my wife is on stage 2. I don't know how many different application days there are. When we came up, they gave me number 50. And I heard them call 140. I'm like, wait, they're on 140, but they gave me 50. That means they've already given out all their numbers and they've gone back around and started over. Well, we've been here for about 30 minutes and they've gone from 140 to 200. So it's going quickly. But the national ID should be fun. Lots of people here in the gym, not much air conditioning, such is life. We're getting our national ID. They've discussed this for the last, it's been 10, 15 years. They've really been trying to get one going. Current law was signed in 2018. I want to make it real clear, this is not going to become a political debate. If y'all want to talk down there about stuff, I'm not going to join in. This is not a politics channel. Whether you believe in a national ID or you do not, I really don't care. I'm not going to get involved in that. This is an ID that was supposed to be, the idea behind it is to simplify signing up for school, getting a bank account, streamlining government services, reducing red tape. That's the idea behind it. It was announced that they are issuing the IDs and that aliens can get them. So I went to get one. Simple enough. But I know one of the first questions is going to be, is it required? Like, who can get it? Who should get it? Who has to get it? Unfortunately, there's not really a good answer. The original law, I read the entire thing, it's only about 20 pages. Seems kind of short to me, but it's only 20 pages, and unfortunately it sets up the legal framework for a national ID, but it doesn't go into much detail. So the law doesn't say who can or should or has to get it. They come out later with implementing rules, and that breaks down how things are going to work. It's also about 20 pages, but it does say quite clearly, all citizens and all resident aliens shall get the card. So according to the implementing rules, it is required. The PSA, the Philippines Statistical Authority, is over the PhilSys, the Philippines ID system, whatever it stands for, PhilSys, I don't know. They're the ones that issue the cards, and they work under the PSA. Used to be NSO. The PSA says it's optional. The implementing rules say it's required. I will let you make your own determination. I was just going to get one because it's a good ID. I have my ACR from immigration, but when you try and use that as an ID, it confuses people because a lot of them don't know what it is. So getting a nationally recognized easy ID, I thought was a good idea. I don't know if it's required or not. My reading of the law says it is. Statements by the PSA say it's optional. Welcome to the Philippines. They'll figure it out. I'm getting it anyway because I think it's got a lot. It's useful to have a good ID. Texas driver's license confuses people. My ACR card confuses people. So I'm getting it. PhilSys National ID is free. The first card is free. If you change some like marital status or some of this that you need a new card, I'm not sure how that works. If you lose it or damage it, you have to pay for a new one. I cannot find anywhere what the fee is for a new one. But the initial card is free. For Filipinos, for citizens, it is a lifetime card. I'm getting mixed results looking online. They say for foreigners, it looks like it might be only good for 1 year. I'm not sure because different government sites say different things. If it's not mandatory and it's only good for 1 year, I probably won't renew it. Just because it just sounds like a hassle. Unless I can renew it online, then I'd do it. Hopefully it's not a 1-year card, because it was pretty easy to get, but it's a lot of hassle if you do it every year. For the citizens, it's a lifetime card, which is, I think, pretty cool. It collects like 13 different points. There's, name, birth date, blood type, the regular demographics. Also has fingerprints, iris scan. Then there's some optional information of marital status, email, and phone number. Email and phone number tend to change often enough. I don't even think it really should be on there, but I gave them mine, and if it changes, oh well. No worries. They talk about step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1 is supposed to be done locally. Your barangay comes around door to door and collects all your demographic information. Our barangay did that for my wife. They did not collect my information because our barangay did not know that I could get or should get or whatever a card. The barangays don't receive much actual training, so they do the best they can with what they have, which is not much. So they collected all her information. They didn't collect any of mine. So when we showed up the other day to get our ID, she's on step 2, I'm on step 1. Turns out step 1 was useless because all the demographic information they gathered on her and the picture they took wasn't anywhere in the system. So they have computers set up, they enter all your information. So we both pretty much just did the whole thing. When we showed up, there was a lot of people there, and I was very concerned that this was going to take all day. I was very impressed with how quickly it worked. There were 12 computer stations set up. They had their PC, and then so it was, good monitor, keyboard, all that. And then there was this little bitty, look almost like a tablet size monitor. I want a couple. I could put them right up here for gaming. That just mirrored their information, and it was facing us. So they had their computer monitor, and then behind it was this little small monitor, and they're like, verify everything as I type it in. They're typing it in, and I'm like, you got my name wrong. How do they get they got my ID in their hand and they typed my name wrong? I'm like, that's not how my name works. I'm like, what? I don't know. They're trying to get the ACR number off my ACR card. They're putting in the wrong number. I'm trying to tell them that's not the ACR number. There's a big number on the front of the card that the back of the card has the ACR actual number, which is what this form is asking for. She wouldn't listen to me. I'm like, it's on the back. That's not the right number. Forget it. So hopefully the number she took will work, because she wouldn't listen to me. But that's why I don't want to use the ACR as an ID, because nobody understands it. This lady's gathering the information for PhilSys, for the PSA. She's a government worker. She doesn't understand this government ID that I have. This is why I wanted to go ahead and get this new ID, because nobody understands the ACR. It's a card they're not familiar with, which is understandable. There's not that many foreigners here. So this is from immigration, and it says permanent resident, but they don't really get it. They don't know what it is. They're looking for the issuance dates and expiration dates and all this, and the card makes sense if you understand immigration. If you've never seen it, you just kind of look at it, you're like, what is this? It's kind of understandable. So I wanted the ID. Hopefully I get it, because she wrote down some of the information wrong. Hopefully it's enough that they can figure out who I am. She has my passport number and all that, so we'll see. I was very impressed with how quickly they got us through. Like I said, I was number 50, and they were on like 140 when I got there. They got to 200 and started back over. They had different color. They had like a different color. Ours was an orange piece of paper, 1 through 200. They had a different color for earlier, a different color for later. So when we left, they were handing out a third color of 1 through 200. I don't know how many they do in a day. But they were on 140 of the first batch when we got there. 30 minutes later, they went from 140 up to like 198, 200, they're up in there, in 30 minutes. So they hit 200, they went to batch 2, number 1, and got back up to 50, which was me, in less than 30 minutes. It was unbelievable. It was very, very well run. Really fast. Cannot complain about that. When you walk in and there's 200 people in this gymnasium, you're like, oh God, it's going to take forever. And it did not. It was very well organized. They had, I think it was 12 computer stations set up, and they were getting people through really quick. My wife and I sat down at the same time. Hers was done. She was out. I was there another 10 minutes because this lady couldn't figure out my passport or my ACR. Both IDs confused her. So I had to keep stopping her and saying, you entered this one wrong, you entered my name wrong. It took longer. And then that little monitor had a camera. Unfortunately, it's down on the desk, so it's like taking a picture of my chest. She's trying to lift it back, so it's at this angle, so it's like going up my nose, and it's like, if she would have let me pick it up and go straight with it, we would have got a nice picture. But she's just trying to lean it backwards at this angle. And so it's got my face, my nose is that big, and it's not a good angle. So she took the picture for about 5 minutes, and it kept saying it couldn't save the picture because it didn't recognize this as a face. So she's changing out the lights. They got these big LED banks of lights. She goes to another desk, takes their lights because maybe it's bad lighting. And I'm like, no, it's the wrong angle. It's trying to use some type of facial recognition, and it's not seeing my face. It's seeing this weird, angled view. Again, they don't listen. They don't want to listen to English because of nosebleed. I understand it. I'm not getting mad about it. I was kind of amused by the whole thing, but I also felt sorry for her because she's just trying to get through this. But if she'd listened to me, we'd have got it done. If I just picked it up straight up and took a picture of me, it would have worked. But what are you going to do? So it took about 10 minutes longer than it should have. But even that wasn't bad. Everyone was really cool, really friendly. Surprisingly, they had the little machine. Each desk had the machine to do the electronic fingerprints. I honestly would have expected one place doing all the fingerprints. That would have slowed it down. But all 12 stations had the fingerprint scanner. They all had the iris scanner. I've never even seen an iris scanner. I've heard of them. It looks like these weird plastic binoculars. You put them up, there's a red dot. It takes a picture of your iris. It's supposed to be 10 times more accurate than fingerprints. And it's not as intrusive as a retina scanner, which is supposed to be really good. I've never seen one. I've heard of them, and all 12 of them had it. And every time it's used, somebody runs by with alcohol wipes and wipes everything down. So they're trying to keep us all from getting sick. I appreciate that. Overall, the entire thing was very smooth. Went rather well. One of the points they're hoping to do with this, it's to simplify and streamline government appointments and government work, simplify banking, so even some of the private stuff. They are hoping this will get people more inclined to get a bank account, do online payments, cashless stuff. That's going to be a big shift here because people don't use banks here a whole lot. So I don't know if that portion of it's going to work. That's one of the big ideas they're pushing for, is they want this to encourage people to get bank accounts, make it easier to get bank accounts when they do, like, say, the different payments, like COVID payments. They could do direct deposit, which is so much easier, because right now they're having to run around, and this is almost crazy. They're taking this money around the country and they are delivering cash to people. It goes to the region, it goes to your city, it finally gets down to the town, the barangay, and they're out there handing out cash. And I mean, this is a huge, huge operation. If they could do it electronically, it would be so much easier, save them so much time and money. I wish them luck. I'm not sure how well it's going to go. Most people we know here do not have a bank account. I will be very curious to see how quickly the cards are shipped out. All this information is being gathered. It's all on the computer. All goes to Manila to be issued. So they're doing the whole country at the same time. And that's a lot of cards to print. So when will we actually get the card? I asked them, I was like, how long do you think this will take? She goes, it comes from Manila, which apparently says everything I need to know. I have no idea. So what we went in second week of April was when we went. Be curious to see when we get it. My wife was getting a voter's ID. She had her receipt so she could vote, but to get the actual printed card took over a year. So, I don't know. We'll find out. How long do you think it's going to take? Maybe we should open a betting pool. Is it good for a year or good for a lifetime? When I get it, I'll find out. Wouldn't it be funny if it takes more than a year to receive it and it's expired when I get it? That'd be cool. I hope not. We'll find out. Don't know if we'll find out soon, but we'll find out. Every day is a holiday. Every meal is a feast. Yeah, it's just water. It was a terrible idea.
Enjoy your day in paradise.